Have you reached the endgame in The Division 2 and feeling a bit lost? Don't worry, I've got your back. In this video, I'll be sharing some valuable tips on how to approach the endgame so you can keep enjoying the game and making progress. After completing the main campaign and reaching the max level, the game opens up with countless activities available. For some, this is where the real fun begins, but for others, it can be quite overwhelming. I know this feeling all too well from my previous experiences with other games like Guild Wars 2 and the first Division title. I would quickly lose interest at the endgame stage due to the lack of a clear progression path and end up moving on to other game. However, this time around with Division 2, I managed to break that pattern and have a blast in the endgame ever since. See, the game's endgame model didn't really change. Instead, it was my mindset that made all the difference. In this video, I'll be sharing my tips on how to approach endgame in games like The Division 2 so you can enjoy the game to the fullest. So buckle up and get ready for my top tips on how to approach Division 2 endgame once you reach it. The first two tips will focus on setting up achievable goals for yourself. Tip number 1 is to decide which weapon types and playstyles you enjoy the most. Identifying your preferred playstyle is a great first step that will help you choose builds that suit your playstyle. While you progress, you may experiment and expand your comfort zone with new playstyles, but at the beginning, sticking with what you know works for you is a safer option. This way, you won't get disappointed or discouraged by the game. The next step is to figure out what build you want to pursue. You have a couple of options here. The first option is to go online and start checking Division 2 wikis for exotics and gear set bonuses to figure out the build on your own. The second approach is much easier and faster. Just check online materials for established builds. Here, knowing your preferred playstyle comes in handy as it helps you know what to look for. With these two initial steps, you have set yourself up for success by creating a clear goal to complete a specific build. This should help many players who struggle to set their own objectives in games without clearly defined path. Now, the next two tips are all about making your endgame farming more enjoyable experience. Tip number 3. Don't get too caught up in optimizing your playtime. Yes, it's important to make the most of your gaming sessions, but not at the expense of having fun. If you don't like a particular activity, don't force yourself to do it just because someone else says it's the most efficient way to farm gear. In The Division 2, you can always check the daily rotating targeted loot and focus on the activities that you enjoy and that have the gear you're after. Tip number 4. Mix up your farming. Doing the same thing over and over again can quickly become tedious and repetitive, no matter how enjoyable it was at first. To keep your endgame experience fresh and exciting, try switching things up. One day, you could focus on open world activities. The next, you could do a few rounds of countdown and then maybe try some summit runs. By mixing up your farming, you'll keep yourself engaged and prevent burnout from setting in. Okay, so you've put together your first build, and it's not performing as well as the YouTuber made it seem, right? Don't worry, I've been there too. I watched a fancy gameplay video, farmed for the set, and was disappointed with the results. But before you give up, here are my last 3 pieces of advice to help you set realistic expectations when watching build videos. Tip number 5 is to understand that YouTubers have stats that you simply won't have yet. That YouTuber you watched likely has a shade rank above 1000, meaning their stats are far superior to yours. They might also be using god rolls, which are maximum statistics available within certain item, while you might not have them yet. And on top of that, they get all the perks from expertise levels on their gear, which require a lot of time to achieve. The few percentage points of bonus may not seem like much on each individual item, but when you add it all up, it can make quite a noticeable difference. Here's my tip number 6. Keep in mind the experience gap. Content creators tend to be players with thousands of hours in Division 2. They have run the mission they showcased in their video like hundreds of times. They know which NPC to expect and where they are coming from. Content creators know the layout of the map and can anticipate enemy movements better than new players. They know how to position themselves versus enemies not to get flanked. This experience difference between players makes a huge difference, especially in the more squishy builds. Lastly, remember that YouTubers can cherry-pick their footage. Selective editing of gameplay footage is not something bad per se, it's just a nature of the medium with no live footage. Naturally, the person who made the build wants to show it in the most favorable light. This is especially the case in our modern culture of everything being the best, the fastest, the most efficient. You may not see deaths and downs behind the scenes, but they can certainly happen. And there you have it, my top 7 tips on how to approach the endgame in the Division 2. Remember, the endgame is where the real fun begins, so don't let the overwhelming amount of content discourage you from enjoying the game to the fullest. By setting achievable small goals, mixing up your farming, and setting realistic expectations, you'll be able to make the most out of your endgame experience. And if you ever feel lost or stuck, don't hesitate to reach out to the Division 2 community. There are many helpful players out there who are always happy to lend a hand. I hope these tips have been helpful in guiding you through your endgame experience of Division 2, and that you'll continue to enjoy the game for a long time to come. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the game.